In this video, you will see one of the last cameras from Contax, one of the most revered camera makers of all time. But just because it bears the Contax name, does this camera have what it takes to be one of the greats? Stay tuned to find out everything you need to know. All coming up right now on Camera Legend. What is going down, you awesome, bold, vivacious, audacious, and please stop me, guys, stop me, salacious camera geeks. It is Sam from CameraLegend.com, and I am so excited to be back here today. And this special episode was brought to you by you because this is pretty much a request video. So I want to thank you guys, especially all you guys who requested this video for this particular camera. I want to thank you, and I want you guys to give yourselves a pat on the back because you finally got me to get off my lazy ass to do this video. Alright, so today's camera is a very interesting digital camera from the year 2002. It is one of the last cameras from a great camera manufacturer, from a true camera legend name in the camera world, and that camera is the Contax TVS Digital. Alright, you guys, so if you guys haven't noticed, right, on YouTube right now, on social media, old Digicams are becoming quite the thing. Now, just for your personal perspective, I have been collecting these old digital cameras for many years, never really thinking that it was going to become a thing. But you know, when you really think about it, it makes a lot of sense because everything old is new again. And for an old camera, this is an awesome camera. I'm going to tell you all about the Contax TVS Digital in this video. Alright, you camera legend loving camera geeks, this is the Contax TVS Digital in titanium black finish in all its glory. The camera is a 5 megapixel digital camera from the year 2002. It has a 35 to 105 millimeter f2.8 to f4.8 in 35 millimeter equivalent zoom lens, and I'm going to open the zoom so that you guys get to have a look at that beautiful Vario Sonar zoom lens. Alright, look at that. Alright, so I'm just going to give you guys a little look around at the camera. There's a flash right there. You have some buttons here, but I'm not going to go over them right here because it's just going to take too long. But anyway, just a few things that you should know. The ISO range is ISO 50 to 400. There is no RAW mode in this camera. And just like a lot of older cameras from this era, it only takes a 2 gig max SD card. Alright, but honestly, that's plenty for this camera. Using the JPEG files. Okay, now the Contax TVS Digital is a direct descendant of, let's move over for the big daddy, the original Contax TVS film camera. Now if you look at them together, you can see the similarities and you can also see the differences. Similarities, the notches right there, the Contax notches right there, the flashes in the same spot, the names are in the same spot. But if you notice, the lens designs are quite a bit different. This one comes out electronically. This one you use your finger and go this way. And the lenses are actually different zooms actually. This one, as I said, is a 35 to 105 millimeter. And this one is a 28 to 56 millimeter. Alright, so there are some similarities, but there are also some differences. So this is not an exact clone of this camera. Alright, so let's talk more about the Contax TVS Digital. I'm not going to be as demanding on these cameras because you do have to understand and appreciate actually the technology and the time that these cameras came from. All right, so first thing I want to do is to show you guys a few photos from this camera.
Alright, so if you guys are watching this, for you guys, I would have to say that you guys are very special, as Barney the dinosaur used to say, because it takes a very special person to be interested in a digital point and shoot from the year 2002 with only 5 megapixels. But you guys are special. And the Contax TVS Digital is special too. Now, one of my best impressions of the Contax TVS Digital is the fact that it produces images with really beautiful and surprisingly accurate colors, especially for a camera from 2002. Night shots can be beautiful too, but it can also be challenging due to a lack of manual control of the shutter speeds. But once in a while, when you can get a sharp image during a night shot, it come out beautiful. Now, this camera also does beautiful black and white conversions. I'm not sure if I would call them exactly film-like, but definitely filmic. You can definitely get a filmic look out of it. But here's the secret, guys. You can get a filmic look out of almost any camera. Filmic or film-like is really dependent on how you see it. Now, I base my criteria on my own film experiences, but yours may be different. But this camera really does nice black and white conversions. The Carl Zeiss Vario Sonar does have some distortion at the wide end, but overall I found the range very useful, and overall it is a very good and sharp optic. Another great strength of the TVS Digital is this very nifty and effective macro mode. And while I loved using the camera for everything, I think its greatest strength is actually in its color reproduction. The lens has definitely got the Carl Zeiss DNA for beautiful and natural colors. But the bottom line for me in 2022 is, are these images any better than what I could do with my phone? If I were to tell you that these were all shot with a phone, would it make a different impression on you? Leave a comment. I'd love to hear your opinion.
All right, you guys, so my image quality assessment, I think this camera takes beautiful images, especially in color. The colors are actually surprisingly accurate, especially for a camera from 2002. This lens is a very good lens. It's actually very much like the lens on the original film TVS, but in my opinion, it might actually be a little bit better. Now, these are very good lenses, perhaps not outstanding like the ones on the T2 or T3, but that's to be expected, right? A prime versus a zoom. But again, a very good Carl Zeiss zoom is probably better than most other zooms, right? Don't be offended if using other zooms, all right? Now, one thing I want to say is the resolution, the 5 megapixels, it's fine as long as you can appreciate it as is. So this is not a camera for pixel peeping or anything like that, okay?
Just like a lot of early low megapixel Digicams, the Contax TVS Digital presents with a sharp and extremely pleasing image head on. But as you zoom in, you'll begin to see the lack of detail. Now, some people say that megapixels don't matter, but yeah, sometimes they do. So with this camera, please do not pixel peep.
Prints maybe up to 8 by 10 or was it 16 by 20. That's pushing it, but as long as you're not putting your nose right up to the print, they should look pretty good too. Now, in my opinion, I would say that this lens is probably better than what the sensor is capable of delivering, which is quite a shame. I think this camera would have probably benefited from just a few more megapixels, maybe 8 to 10, but unfortunately, we'll never know. So I just appreciate the images as is from the 5 megapixel sensor, and try not to pixel peep too much. You're gonna love the images out of this camera. All right, you guys, well, I want to give you guys some pros about the Contax TVS Digital. Now, if you guys have remembered any of my Contax videos, you guys know that I'm a Contax super fan, but I've also been quite critical of the brand because, like I've always said, it was kind of like a Yashica in dressing. But you know, all the things that I've mentioned before, reliability issues with the Contaxes, electronic issues, all that stuff. Surprisingly, this one has been very reliable. No electronic issues that I've had personally with this camera. That's not to say that you won't have it if you bought one, but just to let you know, this has been my most reliable Contax. All right, the battery life is old school. It's not great, but it's not bad. It's actually pretty damn good for an old camera from 2002. If I'm shooting all day, it could last me almost the whole day. All right, not the whole day, maybe 3/4 of a day. If I'm being a little conservative with the way I shoot. All right. Another pro, beautiful colors coming out of this camera. Very surprisingly beautiful and almost accurate colors. And a great surprise that I found out that you guys may have read from my 2017 review on the blog, the white balance on this camera is pretty awesome. I mean, like, if I'm taking shots where there's a white wall, the walls actually come out white, as opposed to even some modern cameras where it comes out yellow or something from the you know, the fluorescent lights or whatever. This camera does a great job with the white balance. Okay, so that's another pro. The body is durable, very durable, just like the old school Contax bodies. And surprisingly, it hasn't scratched up all that much, really, despite the fact that I've put it in my pocket and everything. So this camera is really great. In fact, I'm going to give it a credit later on. All right, now some negatives, of which there are a few. The startup time on this camera is very slow. I'm going to show you guys what I mean. Okay, so I'm going to start it up right now, and when the screen comes on, that's when you'll be able to take the shot. All right, so it's not that bad, but you have to keep that in mind, especially if you want to do fast street shooting. You want to make sure the camera is on so you don't miss a moment, because it does take a couple of seconds to start up. Okay, another negative, the screen is old school resolution. It's not all that great, but at least you can see. You also have a real optical viewfinder in there, which is also very small, but at least you can see. The menus are 2002 old school. You know, not the greatest, but you're gonna get used to it. All right, so like I said, these are not actually faults of the camera, but basically a product of the time in which it was born, in 2002. All right, so I don't consider them faults of the camera. I don't compare them to modern cameras, because that wouldn't be a fair thing to do. All right, but other than that, I don't have too many complaints about this camera. This is actually one of my favorite Contaxes. In fact, I love it more today than I did when I first reviewed it in 2017. So, you know, love can grow, right? But yeah, I mean, I've always loved Contaxes.
The Contax TVS Digital comes from a long line of proud and legendary cameras and lenses. And as a Contax superfan, I personally think that this camera is a great camera that takes great images with that Carl Zeiss vibe. This camera has always been a little bit underrated, perhaps because it has always been a little bit overpriced. But as a self-appointed camera historian, I sadly do not think that this camera is going to go down as a true camera legend, but rather will be seen as one of the many, many thousands of forgotten digital cameras from the early days of digital, which is a shame really, because in my opinion, the Contax TVS Digital is a great camera. And because Kyocera did not make many digital cameras before they retired the Contax brand, this camera, based on its strength and almost by default, to me is the last great Contax.
It has become more of a collector's item, so whether or not it is worth it is up to you. If it's worth it to you, then it's worth it. For me, I got this camera in 2017 for $100. If I were to buy it today, $400 to $500, I'm not sure I would pay that price for this camera, because for that price, think about it, you can get a whole bunch of insane cameras. I don't even have to tell you. I mean, what those cameras are, but you can get a whole bunch of insane cameras that can do much more than this camera. Also, you can also use your phone maybe with some filters and mimic a lot of the look that you can get out of these cameras. But if you want those images, those beautiful colorful images, filmic images straight out of the camera, and you're not going to be pixel peeping or printing super large, this camera definitely has the Contax vibe, has a Carl Zeiss lens, and it does, to me, it does a beautiful job in replicating the photos. And like I said before, even the color is really very good on this camera. So once again, is it worth it? For me, I wouldn't buy it for $400 to $500, but if it's worth it to you, then it's worth it. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching. And if you got anything out of this, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, because there'll be plenty more digital and film cameras coming your way. And if you guys have taken a note of anything that I've posted before, then you know that I ain't jiving when I'm talking about that. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time on thecameralegend.com. And let's take a nice 2002 beautiful Contax Carl Zeiss image of you guys. Cameralegend.com YouTube channel. All right, let's see.
Cameralegend.com